Jess stopped as she peered into the corridor and apparently didn't see the other woman. Then she turned back into the sick bay and dropped into her chair once more. Mrax watched her with raised eyebrows, waiting for Trazak's mate to say something. She tapped her nails against her teeth and studied the mostly closed doors. That one. We might need more than one of you keeping an eye on her at a time. Can we hire more crew to save her from herself? Mrax didn't want to talk about the engineer, not when the comment about his ass and the tempting curves of her body remained at the forefront of his mind. But he decided to let his medical background take over. Has her behavior changed that much in the recent past? Jess shook her head. A little bit since we left the Argo. More in the last few weeks. She's jumpier, higher strung, almost manic. Could be space madness, Mrax said. Was this her first tour? No, she's been around a lot of places, Jess said. She kept drumming her fingers, an annoying tap, 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 and debating something in her head. He could almost see the wheels turn in her brain. Dangerous places, too. She's volunteered for more shitty tours than anyone I know, and that's saying a lot. She joined the fleet as an enlisted mechanic when she was 16. It was his turn to rein in his shock. 16 was fully grown on Zarov, but he'd been led to believe that Earthers didn't consider their young grown until 18 or 20 years. He couldn't imagine the wide-eyed, nervous engineer that young and away from her mother's care. Jess glanced over her shoulder at him. She had a rough life growing up, so she left as soon as she could. Got a special exemption from the fleet to enlist, mostly because she's fucking brilliant and just understands machines. He ignored that he hadn't asked for that information, and instead picked up a few of the parts that Rowan had seemed particularly interested in, even when she pretended she wasn't staring at the devices with a hungry look. She appears to spend more time breaking them. Jess shrugged and got to her feet as her communicator buzzed. No doubt it was Trazak, searching for his mate. Mrax certainly didn't want the second-in-command to find them alone in the sickbay together. The Earther took a deep breath and wandered toward the door. What would you think about maybe bringing her to Dablon 7 when Trazak and I go to the boneyard for more ships? Mrax handed her the spare parts and went back to his work. I don't have an opinion on it. She seems like more trouble than help in a boneyard full of machines to take apart. But it might help the space madness, or whatever it is that afflicts her. Jess took the parts without commenting on the offer and tilted her head at the door. I'll pass these along, but keep the regenerators charged. I get the feeling you might need them again soon. He snorted and shook his head, tossing more of the useful equipment aside. He'd have to keep that in mind. He went to pick up the spent cartridges that Rowan had pulled off and began the disinfecting and recharging process. Jess disappeared and left Mrax alone in the sickbay, trying to sort through what had just happened. Those Earthers blew into his quiet, controlled domain and completely wrecked it. Trouble. Complete trouble. All of them. Even if the engineer smelled wonderful, under the hint of burnt flesh, and her skin felt so warm and soft against his fingers. He scowled at the disturbed bed and went back to work. Dablon 7 was a good place for her, all things considered. It might have been the only way to keep the Galaxos in one piece.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.